Trailers.
I was gonna say we freeze like. Oh, and we're back.
How many tournament trails are there, folks? Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast. We are back in effect
Too dang minute.
this week. There is a lot.
There is a lot.
I think we got the camera angle adjusted right.
A lot.
This is not a professional production. I know our boy Luke Duncan over in Tennessee, he's got like the low budget thing. Dog, you ain't seen low budget till you rolled up in this garage.
Get on this low budget level.
He
guys.
don't even know about the level of low budget that we're operating on over here.
We ain't even got freaking brand name pins up in this joker.
A straight up Walmart, great value pins right up in
This
here.
is a Zebra brand.
Zebra brand.
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, does it right?
Oh yeah.
I've always been more about function over form.
Which reminds me, 6 cents. Let's make a zebra printed rod sock. Let's
Can't
go.
We got that leopard printed one back
Come
here. Inside joke. Don't worry about that, folks. Man, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We're going to have, as you can probably tell, a great time in our discussion this evening. We're going to talk about more tournaments than you can shake a stick at going on in the fall of the year, of all things.
It's crazy.
It's like hunting season, football season, World Series, baseball, all that's happening. But yet, we got 8,000 fishing tournaments to talk about.
Can I throw a little snippet in there?
Yeah, always.
What happened to the Astros, homeboy?
I mean, you can't win every year, dog. Like, if they just won every World Series ever.
Hey, I'm just happy that a team that was 29-31 made the playoffs. Stop it.
I don't know. I haven't watched. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
Who's 29-31?
the Astros were, and they still made the playoffs.
How does that happen?
And so what I was saying was, if they won
How
the
did
World
that happen?
Series, the way it was, the 60-game season,
It was
it
all
was still
monkeyed
the
up.
division kind of, yeah, it was.
Okay,
Anyways.
enough baseball. Enough baseball.
No more locked doors.
Yeah, we're not supporting any organization that supports the things that professional sports support these days. That's the stance we take on this channel. Woo! Let's go. American, baby. Hashtag love it or leave it. Let's go. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. The Berkeley tournament was on Fork. We got a Bassmaster Elite Series event with a Lake Fork local winning it right now. We're going to get into that. One of our Lake Fork locals is winning a Bassmaster Elite Series event going into the final day right now. We've got Bassmaster Open stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We've got NPFL, New Tournament Trail. Coming up that we got to talk about. The one thing that we don't get to talk about is the MLF. That's the only one that doesn't have things going on right now.
Yep.
Or the MLFLW. FLW doesn't exist anymore.
The Alphabet Series.
The Alphabet Series. We're not talking about that. They don't have anything going on.
Yep.
But we are going to talk about every other tournament known to man. And you know, everything that we do on this channel, and it, you know, probably limits some of our exposure a little bit, but it begins and ends with Lake Fork. Lake Fork is where I'm from. I make my living on Lake Fork guiding and filming most of my videos there over the years. And there was a big tournament on Lake Fork this weekend for the amateur level. It was the Berkeley Big Bass Tournament. Now, this is a unique tournament because you're only allowed to use Pure Fishing products. Pure Fishing is a company that owns Berkeley, so you can only use their Berkeley products and companies affiliated with Berkeley, their gear.
Stinky baits. The stinkingest baits known to man.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
They catch fish.
Some. I never liked fishing it. Before I was guiding, I hated that tournament because I was like, well, if I want to throw a jig, I want to throw the jig I want to throw. I don't want to throw this crappy Berkeley gripper
Right.
jig. Like, I don't want to throw that.
Aside from the power worm,
Yeah.
that's the main bait of
Yeah,
Berkeley
power
guys.
worm. Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, nonetheless.
Back in the day, a chigger crawl was a good bait.
Chigger
Crazy
crawl was.
Leaks chigger crawl.
Mhm.
And they've got, Berkeley has
They have
come out
great
with a
baits,
lot
yeah.
more better and more diverse baits over the years. I almost feel like it seems like they were doing that just to give people options in that tournament so they quit complaining about it.
Right.
Because like before Berkeley came out with new baits, every year the tournament, what'd you win the tournament on? Oh, bluefin power worm.
Yeah.
Now you never know. It might be a bottom hopper, it might be a grass pig, you never know what you're gonna get out there now. So, anyways, let's talk about that first.
Come on.
Fishing on Lake Fork specifically has been a little challenging lately, honestly, and some of that showed in the results. So the results were as such. We had the winner. We only had one overweight in. The winner was Aaron Anderson.
Hey, Ron.
Aaron won it with a 6.98 pound over. Now, that's a really light over. That's a long, skinny fish. Do you know, my question is, how many guys were out there that caught 23-inch, 8-pound? If you don't know, folks that are listening, on Lake Fork, you can only keep fish under 16 or over 24 inches. So you can catch a 23-inch fish that weighs 8 or 9 or sometimes 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys caught 8-pounders that were 23 inches this week, which is really common out there? that lost to a 7-pounder. How mad would that make you?
It'd make me pretty upset.
Yeah, like this dude won a brand new Skeeter boat with a smaller fish than what some of these guys caught weight-wise.
That's why I don't. That was always my biggest frustration.
You don't often see it in the big bass tournaments because usually somebody catches, usually on almost every single tournament they have on Lake Fork that's a big bass tournament, there's a 10-pounder.
Right.
Nobody's complaining about losing to a 10-pounder.
Right.
Ever. Right? Like, that just is what it is.
But when you catch something that doesn't even have a 7 in front of the decimal, and I catch something 9 in the slot,
Yeah.
it's frustrating.
And in a stringer tournament, it shows up a lot
Right.
because you can go catch 5-pounders and have nothing to go to scales with and lose to a stringer of
8 pounds.
8 pounds or 9 pounds. But,
And it's common.
It happens all the time out there. So, the stringer tournaments, I never liked fishing the stringer tournaments on Lake Fork for that reason. But anyway, back to the results. We got a couple guys we wanted to give some shout outs to. Now, Curtis Daniels is a Lake Fork local. He's a guy that I've known for a few years. Just casually, don't know him well. But I do know him. He's a really nice guy. We've had some conversations at the boat ramps, on the water, stuff like that. He fishes really hard. He spends a lot of time on the water, fishes weekend tournaments almost every single week. Curtis is a good angler and a good guy from everything I know about him. He got second overall with a 2.97. That is a huge under the slot fish. BJ Shelton is a guy that I know I've seen on social media comment on some of our stuff from time to time. So I know that he's seen some of our content, so I wanted to give him a shout out. He got fourth overall with a 2.78.
2.78.
Vic Pearsall, who some of you guys have probably remember seeing on the channel once in a while, him and Cody Mays won our 22 kill benefit tournament back in the summer.
That's right.
Vic Pearsall, he cashed a check and he got an almost check where they gave him a fishing rod for almost getting a check. So he had a couple of weigh-in fish that he got. Now I know Vic, he 1,000% uses that Fish Life app, so that's good. And Gunnery Sergeant, retired Gunnery Sergeant John Boone, also got a check as well at the Berkeley this week, and he is also an app subscriber that I personally know is a personal friend of mine. He's been on guide trips with me. He's also a fellow Marine. Love Gunny Boone. So congrats to all the. And I just glanced. I mean, these guys may have cut more than one check. That I don't know. I just kind of, there's hundreds of people on that list. I just glanced at it to see. I know they had over 1,100 anglers, so getting a check in a field of 1,100, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. And wanted to give those guys that we know personally a shout out, man. Congratulations to you guys. Good work. Good work.
Good work, team.
Now, one thing that I want to mention, because we're going to talk about this Bassmaster Elite Series event next. And Lee Livesey's winning it. And as we start talking about Bassmaster Elite Series, and then there was one on Gunnersville a couple weeks ago, there is some internet sites you can go on, some Facebook groups possibly, some fishing forum group websites you can go on that would make you want to believe that Lake Fork is dead because nobody caught a 10-pounder in the last two big bass hourly tournaments. Now, there were many more overs caught in the Sealy than there was in the Berkeley. But there are people out there that are trying to say, well, is Lake Fork dead? Lake Fork sucks, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we got a bunch of amateurs on Lake Fork, and the biggest bass that was weighed in was a 7-pounder. We don't know how many 5, 6, 7, 8-pounders were caught that were in the slot. We don't know. There's no way of knowing that. I do know I saw some pictures posted from people that I'm friends with on Facebook and stuff where they were catching big slot fish that weren't weighers. They were posting pictures of them on Facebook. I saw several of those this weekend from the Berkeley. These guys are on Chickamauga right now. They were on Gunnersville a couple weeks ago. The biggest bass that anybody's caught on Chickamauga this week. And Chickamauga over the last few years has probably been considered arguably the best trophy bass lake in the country over the last 2 or 3 years.
That's right.
And Gunnersville, a few years before that, was the best tournament bass fishing lake on earth, according to everybody. Well, at Chickamauga, you've got some of the best anglers on planet Earth there right now, and the biggest bass that has been caught is a 5-pounder. A 5-pounder.
I'm just saying,
like, fishing's not always good, guys, on any lake you go to. It just is what it is. Just because you have a couple events, Lake Fork's the only place on earth that you go to, and if you don't have a 10-pounder, it's like, whoa, what's wrong? The lake's dead. Like, everybody thinks the lake's dead if you don't catch a 10 on Lake Fork at a tournament. There's nowhere else that has to live up to that standard. Nowhere. Not even these California fisheries. They don't live up to the like Lake Fork is, and for the foreseeable future will continue to be, the greatest big bass, trophy bass lake of all time. It is the GOAT lake for trophy bass. It has been for a long time, and it will continue to be until some other lake puts up years and years and years, 10, 15, 20 years of you got to catch a 10-pounder to win a tournament here, a big bass tournament here. There's no other place that that's the case. It's just not.
Another little snippet you can add to that is look at the full-time professional fishing guides per square acre. What Lake
Oh,
Fork
man.
is.
Yeah, it's crazy compared to anywhere else. And I'll tell you something else that we're going to be able to see here real soon. The elites are coming here the first week of November. There's not going to be a big difference in the way the fishing patterns are now at Chickamauga and how they will be at Fork in a couple weeks.
So you be the judge.
I'll be willing to bet somebody catches one bigger than 5 pounds on Lake Fork in the Elite Series event here. I'm just saying. That's how you can compare apples to apples right there. See what the Elite Series does on Fork in 2 weeks. See what they did on Chickamauga this week. Now,
I bet him a paycheck on it. That's all I'm
oh
saying.
yeah. Now let's discuss Chickamauga. Before we get into Chickamauga, let's see if we can answer if there's any viewer questions or comments we need to address. First of all, I want to give all of y'all a shout out for joining us tonight, man. Please continue to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this podcast, and please continue to comment. We will try to answer as many of them as we can.
While you're doing that, I'm going to get to
Iowa boys in the house. BSJ contract says ridiculous. Think 10 plus aren't rolling in the deep. LO. Anyone who thinks otherwise on Fork has not fished it. Yeah, no doubt. Kevin Jones in the house. Mark Bevel.
Ooh, Kevin Jones.
The guy who won says he caught it on a hit worm. I don't know what that is.
Not heard of it.
Jody Warren says, hey, bud, I won the individual tournament on Fork last Sunday. I imagine that's the JC Outdoors individual or something like that. He won the individual tournament on Fork last Sunday by throwing a fluke on main lake grass and then wacky worms under docks. Get after it, brother.
Boy, you just made Zach Watts smile.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I got a high school tournament on November 17th. Any tips? Yeah, watch this channel leading up to. First, go subscribe to the Fish Life app, Lake Fork Premium Package, because we're going to update that the 1st of November. So you'll have all the latest. And it is legal if you subscribe to it before your off limits period. It is legal for you guys to use. I've checked on that. So you can actually use it during the tournament as long as you subscribe to it before your off limits period. It's a weird rule, but that's the rule. But make sure you watch leading up, and we do top 5 baits every Thursday. I know I missed this last Thursday. I apologize for that. We do top 5 baits every Thursday. Watch that. We will give you the current patterns and baits that are working on Lake Fork every week going forward. We do those Thursday at 8:30. And that's for Little Sausage. Gary Payne's in the house. Grant Shannon, Boom Buck, Bob Davis, Big John, Jared Carson. A lot of the regs in here, and some of the ones that I don't really know that well. Jeffrey Lunday says, that is true. Fork is still the greatest. Chickamauga doesn't come close, and I am a couple of hours away. Well, I appreciate that objective perspective, my man. Thank you. Already subscribed to the Fish Life app. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, as far as like current baits, current tips, I don't want to tell you any now for November 17th. A cold front or two can change everything in the fall. So stay with us over the next couple weeks leading up to your tournament, and we'll be sure to give you the best information I have on all those live streams.
Man.
All right, let's talk about Chickamauga. And first, let's lead off with Lee Livesey. Lee Livesey is a guide here on Fork. I don't know how much he still guides. I know he still does some. It's not near as much as he used to before he got on the Elite Series. But Lee Livesey had a great first year on the Elite Series last year. Tremendous first year. Qualified for the Bassmasters Classic, fished it earlier this year. The Bassmasters Classic this next year is going to be on Ray Roberts, which is a lake that actually Cody Cannon of Whiskey Myers knows Lee a lot better than I do. They actually, the band sponsors, one of Lee's sponsors on tour, and they're good friends. And he told me that, you know, he'd been talking with Lee about Ray Roberts, and apparently Lee has a lot of experience and really wants to qualify for the Classic on Ray Roberts because he spent a lot of time on it. Well, right now Lee's not qualified for the Classic before this event. So if he wins this event tomorrow, he's going to be fishing the Classic. on Ray Roberts, a lake right down the road from where he grew up, a lake that he spent a lot of time on. So this is a big deal that means a lot to Lee. Not only that, Lee grew up his entire life wanting to be a Bassmaster. He is now a Bassmaster. And this would be his first win on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Man, I can't even imagine what, I mean, he can't be going to sleep tonight. There's no chance he gets any sleep tonight.
I wouldn't get a blink of sleep. I wouldn't get a blink of sleep.
I mean, you think about whatever it is that you've wanted to do since you were a kid, like a young kid. And he's on the cusp of it right now. So, Lee, all of our hopes, wishes, thoughts, and prayers are going out to you today, tonight. Man, we are all over here in the Northeast Texas area. Hey, we're watching you. We're pulling for you, buddy. My guide customers, unfortunately, tomorrow I might be a little distracted at moments because I will be checking in on Lee tomorrow when I can. Just go get after it, man. You were one of the best fishermen I've ever, been around. I saw what you did day after day on Lake Fork, and I know what you're capable of. And if you go out there and just fish the way that I know you're capable of fishing, I have no doubts that you can pull this deal off and bring it home. So, best of luck to Lee Livesey, man. I really, really hope that he pulls this deal off. Now, let's talk a little bit about the tournament itself. So,
Let's do it.
here's the top 10. And this is interesting because, something we've talked about a lot on this channel is how in the fall, you have fish get separated. You get a group of fish that migrates to the back of creeks with shad, and they get really shallow, and they chase bait. And you have another, the lake turns over, everything scatters shallow. Then they go boom, and some move to the backs, and some pull back offshore and group up offshore and chase bait, different bait, but chase bait offshore. What's cool to see in this tournament is you got Lee Livesey in first with 43 pounds even. You got Stetson Blaylock in second at 41 pounds and 1 ounce, so right at 2 pounds behind Lee. Well, Stetson Blaylock is fishing offshore, completely offshore.
Surprise.
Lee Livesey is fishing matted grass with a frog in this much water, which is exactly what we've always talked about, how those fish separate like that. And Stetson Blaylock is an offshore structure fisherman. And Lee, to be fair, Lee is an offshore structure fisherman as well. One thing I always saw on Lake Fork that I appreciated and respected about Lee was he would do both. And I like to think that I do both pretty well as well. Like I try to do both deep and shallow a lot. And I probably do fish shallow more than a lot of fishing guys. A lot of fishing guys turn into structure fishermen as they get into guys. It's a lot easier to fish in open water with customers than it is to get up in some grass and some wood, and a little bit harder sometimes to get those fish out of that junk and deal with sometimes inexperienced customers in that heavier cover. Lee always did a really good job of doing both, the best job anybody did out there. And so it's cool to see him taking the shallow route and being in the lead. That's really cool. Other notables, a couple guys I'm not really familiar with: Mike Huff, Jake Whitaker.
Look at how many fish Mike Huff has caught. And look at how close he is.
Mike Huff has only caught 13 fish, and he's 5 pounds behind. So he's he's on some good ones.
That's a notable. That's something to watch.
But yeah, if he gets 5, you're right. Well, and see, on day one, he only had
6 pounds, 12 ounces.
3 for 6 pounds, 12 ounces. Yeah. And then he had, so that means that he caught a 20-pound bag.
Mm-hmm.
He caught a 19 and change bag, 19-1 on day 3, which is, from what I can see, the biggest bag that anybody has caught in this event. So Mike Huff is one to watch out for in that Bassmaster Elite Series event for sure. He's on that type of quality fish on day 3. If he can carry that over to day 4, boy, he adds another 20 on there. That means Lee's been averaging less than 15 a day.
You gotta catch 18.
And if this guy catches 20 and Lee catches his 15, he's right there with him. You're right. That's a good catch there. Good call. Jake,
there's a couple in the top 10 that haven't filled their limit.
Yeah.
But they're not as close as Mike Huff.
Right.
Mike Huff's, 6 pounds away, 5 pounds away?
5 pounds away, exactly. 5 pounds exactly. Chad Pipkins is in 5th. Lee being from Lake Fork, it doesn't surprise me he's doing well at Chickamauga. From best I can tell, those two lakes pattern pretty similar. There's some good offshore structure. There's some good shallow, a little bit of grass spread here and there, shallow cover. They're very diverse fisheries. You can do both at all times. And so that doesn't surprise me, at least. Chad Pipkins did really well at Lake Fork when the Elite Series was here last year in May. So it's kind of interesting to see him up there as well. Todd Otten, great long-time tournament fisherman. He's been a really good fisherman for a long time. John Cox is in 7th.
There's his name again.
Here's the deal, though. In this event, where the leader is at 43 pounds after 3 days, that means they're catching less than 15 pounds a day. These guys, once you get down to Todd Otten, these guys that are 11 pounds down, and even Chad Pipkins at 9 pounds down, for all intents and purposes, they're out. They're out of the event.
You're catching 11 to 12 pounds a day-ish.
It's Chickamauga. There's giant swimming in it, so you never know for sure. Like, you can't say they're for sure out. But most likely, these guys from 5th on down, they're out of the event. They're just too far when you're only catching 13, 14 pounds a day, 15 pounds a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They can't make that ground up, not realistically.
Right.
But John Cox is in there at 7th, another great turn for him. Kyle Welcher, golly, man, this guy, it's like every time you look up, he's in the top 10.
That dude's the real
Whether
deal,
it's an
man.
Open, whether it's an Elite Series.
That dude's the real deal.
Yeah, he's really young.
And I believe we said earlier this year, watch out for Kyle Welcher. I think we said it several times.
He is very, very good. Very good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we said watch out for him, but it's just like every time we look at a tournament, he's there.
Top 10.
He's there. Bill Lowen just missed the top 10 cut in 11th. Gerald Swindle was in 12th. Steve Kennedy was in 15th. Man, that's some really big names.
And Gerald Swindle has big bass at the tournament, by the way.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
What? Oh, that was the 5-pounder?
That was the 5-pounder.
Gotcha.
5'10", I think.
I know Lee this morning caught one. Like, they had a fog delay, so they started late. Lee caught one when he first got to his first spot, and it was a 4-pounder, and he was super excited, which is rare to see Lee Livesey get excited about a 4-pounder. But he was like, man, it's the biggest fish I've caught all week. So it was cool. Yeah, Kyle, Mel Moore says, I watch Kyle Welcher YouTube channel. Yeah, Kyle Welcher has a very good YouTube channel. Definitely worth a watch.
Did I see Big John's life on there?
Yeah.
Oh, Big John, he took a break from taking care of the beavers. He couldn't hang out with us.
That's right. Let's see what Joshua Coggins says. I live 30 minutes from Chick in Athens, Tennessee. We have some nasty weather changes right now. Monday and Tuesday it was low of 60 with 80-degree days. The last few days it has been high 30s in the AM, high of 65 during the day. Yeah, so y'all got a cold front. Hey, that is part of fall fishing. Like, no matter where you go in the fall, you have to deal with good day today, bad day tomorrow.
We always talk about
Day
how
to day,
fall
bad day
fishing
tomorrow.
is some of the best fishing you'll ever see, but
On the right day.
on the right day.
And it can also be some of the worst fishing.
Because cold fronts in the fall affect fish so much worse than they do in the spring.
Especially once the water temp gets down into the low 70s, high 60s.
Yeah.
Those cold fronts hit hard, it hits them, man.
Yes.
And especially, I know Chickamauga has been heavily stocked with Florida strain. Fork has always been heavily stocked with Florida strain. You put a mid to late fall cold front on a Florida strain bass, and it's a hard one, it can be like you're fishing the Dead Sea at times.
That's right.
It really, really can.
It's so much different than when it happens in the spring. So much different.
Yeah. You know, the weights at Chickamauga surprised me. I thought with that group of guys, it's a lot like Fork. Like, I fully expect some of those guys to catch some 7, 8, 9-pound bass. Maybe even a 10 with those guys. Probably, maybe 10's a little much to ask for.
Right.
But 7, 8, 9-pounders, I fully expect to see when those guys are at Fork in a couple weeks. Even if we have a cold front, I expect to see at least some of them. If we have good stable weather, warming trend, or stable trend, I expect to see a lot of 7 to 9-pounders.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Chickamauga would be the same.
Yeah, I mean
But at the end of the day, when you look at the tournament results on the highest level, because you got to compare. If you're going to compare what those guys did over here, you got to compare what those guys do over there.
That's right.
And when you look at some of the tournament results on Guntersville, on Rayburn, on Toledo, on Chick, on the Tennessee River, on Kentucky Lake, Okeechobee at times, all of these lakes, yeah, they put out big events and they have big weights at times.
They have this whole persona about them.
When they're good, they're extremely good, and they 4 days you're going to catch 100 pounds, 110 pounds. Hey, bro, Lake Fork was off when Brandon Cobb caught 115 pounds.
That's right.
It was fishing tough, and that was a spring tournament, but he caught 115 pounds. Keith Combs caught 110 in 3 days when Lake Fork was fishing good. I mean, there's just not another lake like it. Like,
Even when Lake Fork's fishing tough, it fishes better than a lot of these lakes with the persona that are fishing good.
As far as big fish.
Yeah.
As far as big fish go.
Right. Exactly.
Never once, when the big boys have come here for the old school, original Texas Bass Classics in 2006, 7, 8, whatever it was, in 2014 and 15 when they came here, last year and the year before when the Elite Series came here, when MLF came here this year in March, never once have they showed up to Fork and not caught a lot of big fish. No matter how good or bad the fishing was. They've never showed up to Lake Fork and had a stinker tournament, had a 15-pound best five. Never happened on Fork. Because if you catch 5 on Fork, it's probably going to weigh 20. Like, you know, it probably is.
It just is what it is.
Yeah. And if you catch the right 5, you put those guys out there, somebody's going to catch 25 to 30 at least.
It never amazes me. Every time I fish Fork, and I say it, I swear every time, it amazes me the number of 5 to 7 pound bass that swim in that pond.
There's no other place like it per acre.
It's mind blowing.
It's just...
And then I got to throw them back in a 5-stringer tournament. I hate throwing back 5-pounders because I catch 5-pounder on Lake Tyler. I'm like, that one's going in the box.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about calling
And
him.
then I do it on Fork, and I'm like cussing as I'm netting it. I'm like, dang it, that one's going back.
Yeah, it's just such a unique place, and I know I preach it a lot on here, but man, if you guys ever want to dig into it, look up, excuse me, look up the data.
Yeah.
Look up the top 50 bass of all time that have came out of Texas, and when you see that like 38 or 35 or whatever it is have all come from one lake, and it's Fork.
That's right.
And they're all well into the teens. Like, granted, all those fish have been caught a long time ago, but it's still, it may not pump out the 15 to 18 pounders that it used to, or the 13 pounders that it used to. Even, like, this has been an off year for Fork.
Mm-hmm.
This really has been an off year for Lake Fork. Man, there's still so many people catching 10 pounders.
It just blows my mind. Like, even Fork in its off year, and all these double-digit fish are still getting caught, and people are like, oh, it's dead.
Yeah.
Because nobody caught a freaking 17-pounder. Like, oh, it's dead. It's done. Put a fork in it. Like, the movie Major League plays in my mind, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? Did we not see what these pros are coming down here and doing? Oh, it's dead, though.
Yeah.
No. Hey, go to Lake Palestine. Put those numbers up. You're not.
Or go to any other lake.
Yeah. Go to Rayburn. Go to Toledo.
I mean,
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. The data speaks for itself on that deal.
So, anyway,
yeah,
we can talk to her blue in the face.
We
on
sure
that.
could. Let's get into some
Opens. You want
What's
the
going on in the opens?
Updated Eastern.
So is
AOI.
this the one that only has one event left?
The Eastern has 1 and the Central has 2.
So Scott Martin is in the lead. We talked about Scott being just outside the cut after the first event. Now there's been 2 more in the East. Scott Martin's pulled in the first place. It looks like with one event left, unless, I mean, the wheels, like I said, you can't have any bad days in the opens in order to qualify for the Elite Series. So Scott's got to finish the job. But Scott has the best chance of anybody to be on the Bassmaster Elite Series next year through the opens.
That's right.
Hey, from the outside looking in, people may not see this. Inside the industry, and this is not a majority perception, there are some that would argue that Scott Martin is not legit in some ways. I think anytime you're real good, people try to knock you off the pedestal any way they can.
For sure.
But I have heard some things about Scott Martin that were like, he's not as good as everybody thinks he is. I've heard allegations of paying for information. And just,
Daddy's coattail was a big one
man,
through the years.
all kinds of stuff that I've heard on the inside of the industry. And I'll tell you what I know about Scott Martin. Regardless of what tour he signs up on, he succeeds at it.
And look, it's every trail he fishes, he's in the top 10. He's a contender. Every single
He
one.
won the biggest tournament that FLW had in the Forest Wood Cup. He won Angler of the Year there. He is leading this division of the Bassmaster Opens. He's winning the social media battle amongst professional tournament fishermen
100%.
by far.
It's not even close.
This is just a guy that wins. Like, when I look at Scott Martin from the outside looking in, don't know him, never met him, talked to him on the phone once or twice. What I can see from the outside looking in, Scott Martin is just a winner. It doesn't matter what he does in his life,
He's a 1%er.
whether he's running his dad's guide in marina business in Okeechobee, whether he's, I mean, that guy, his family probably operates the most successful guide charter service in the bass fishing industry ever. They've got a lot of guides that they run out of that marina and that they book through their services. Him and his dad have guided on that. I mean, he's number one at that. He's number one amongst tournament fishermen on social media, by far, making more money than all of them are. He's always done a great job of taking care of his sponsors, and his sponsors have rewarded him financially for it. He's won on every tour level that he's ever fished on, regardless of what people may or may not say. I mean, you can't do it that consistently for that long while jimmying information. Like, you're not that good just because you get information. You're not. Whether he did or he didn't, I don't have any idea, and I'm not saying that he did, you know.
Yeah, it's fair.
And others that should know more than me have said that he did, but I don't know. But he wins everywhere he goes. And they have very strict no information rules these days. And he continues to win, and I don't think there's any way he could get information these days with the no information rules they have.
Yeah,
I don't see how he would ever jeopardize what he has for that. Then you got Patrick Walters up there, who's already on the Elite Series. You got Jason Christie, Joshua Strachner, who I don't know that name.
You see his name a lot, though.
Justin Atkins is in 9th. He's within reach in the East. Todd Castledine is in 13th. I guess if he wins, he might be within. He's barely in reach. I don't know. I don't
He's got
know.
to have some things go his way. He has to win and have things go his way.
Yeah.
Is the way I see it. Kind of breaking down on that one.
That's kind of the notables that are within contention. Now, there's some guys that are going to be out of contention at this point in the East. If I can scroll down here. Carl Jacobson, he's already on the Elite Series, right? Is he on the Elite Series?
Yeah, he got second to
Hallnick in an open.
in an open.
In an
it
open.
was an open, that's right.
Somebody let us know. Is Carl Jacobson on the Elite Series? I'm not sure.
I think he is.
He was. I know he was. I
Yeah.
don't know if he still is or not.
Question of the day.
Brian Latimer's in 74th. Man, I like that guy a lot. He's not going to make it. He was one of the big names from FLW that took that stance that ain't going to make it.
Trades out there.
Yeah, that's that Brian Latimer deal, man. I know we've said it before. That's a shame. Let's look at the Centrals, and we have 2 events left in the Centrals. So there's a little more,
A little more wiggle room.
Yeah, Greg Hackney is in 4th position right now, and Lee Livesey is ahead ahead of him in 3rd. By the way, how cool does it have to be Lee Livesey right now? Jacobson is on the Elite Series. One of our viewers helped us. Thank you very much. How cool does it have to be Lee Livesey right now? A, you're leading going into the last day of a Bassmaster Elite Series event for the first time. Got a chance to qualify for an open on a lake that you're very familiar with in close to where you grew up. C, in the Central Opens, you're just one spot ahead of Greg freaking Hackney, man.
I saw that too, and that was
Like,
what
if
took
I
away.
ever saw my name on any kind of leaderboard above Greg Hackney, I'd quit. I'd retire. I'd be done.
I'm out.
That would be my ultimate. Like, if I ever got ahead of Greg Hackney on a leaderboard of any kind in fishing, I would be done. It can't get any better than that.
That dude is the reason I throw a jig. Like, period.
Greg Hackney's my favorite professional fisherman. That's really cool that Lee's one spot ahead of him in points. And Jason Christie, how good is he? He's in the top 5 in the East. He's in 6th in the Central. Is Jason Christie going to leave MLF? What do you think?
Yes.
If he finishes the deal and qualifies,
And I have a reason. I have several reasons why I think that too. One of them being, have you noticed how much that he started trying to really put into his social media content, like noticeably more than before?
no.
Like,
But
he does
to
a
be
lot of-
fair, I've spent a lot of time fishing and creating content. I don't watch very much.
So he does the Tackle Talk Tuesdays. He does the organizational tips. He does the day on the water stuff. Like, and he wasn't.
So he
doing,
stole my game plan.
Yeah, I mean he's been
Jason
watching.
Christie, don't be plagiarizing me, dog. Just kidding.
So he's been
Jokes, folks. Those are jokes.
You see him more now producing content on social
Okay.
media, and I think that is a little bit of foreshadowing that he's about to make a move because I think it's.
He wants out of the MLF one way or the other,
I think so.
and he's trying to create another source of revenue and build that up in case things don't work out. On
And
the
which it's a very large
right now,
following anyways, right?
Right now, he looks like he's going to qualify for the Opens in one of these two divisions. He's got 2 chances, 2 events left in this one, plenty of time to get into.
Mhm.
I mean, he could win this division at this point.
Right.
Heck, he's in 3rd or 4th. He could win the other division, honestly, in the East. And I'll tell you this: a guy with a full-time professional fishing schedule, I don't care how much of an addict he is, he's not going to go fish every Bassmaster Open there is
If he doesn't want out.
for fun. He's not doing that for
Just
fun.
saying, man.
He's doing that for a purpose, in my opinion. I'm with you. I say if he qualifies, he's gone.
And let me ask you this: what if Hackney goes back? Can you imagine the
Now,
mass exit that would follow?
Now, Hackney, I could see Hackney, because he's only fishing the Centrals. He's not fishing the East.
Right.
I could see that just being Greg Hackney wanting to fish more tournaments, because
I'm-
that's what he does.
I'm playing the what if game though.
But Hackney will like fish local tournaments and stuff. Like
Right. He's kind of like
he wants to fish a lot of tournaments.
right. It's like Gary Klein. Gary Klein's from Weatherford. He fishes local derbies out in Weatherford
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, Hackney just likes fishing
Right.
tournaments.
Yeah.
And he likes to make his living. And I think the Opens was just another chance for him to do that.
I'm just playing the what if game. What if?
I mean, he could. He's in 4th in the Centrals. He could qualify and leave. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. Hey, I'll tell you one that I'm looking at. Our guy from Toledo Bend, Daryl Gleason.
Daryl Gleason's
Another
right
Texas
there.
guy. A long time. Probably has been the most notable guy on Toledo Bend over the last 10, 15 years.
I was gonna say as long as I can recall.
As long as I can recall, since I moved back to Texas out of the Marine Corps 11 years ago now, and ever since I can remember in that time, Daryl Gleason's kind of been the most notable guy down there. He's in 7th place with 2 events left.
He's got a chance
He has a very real chance.
because you got to look at Mark Frazier's on the elites. No, it's Mike Frazier.
Paul Browning and Lee Livesey are both Elite Series
so,
guys.
So you got
So you got one,
the
two.
4G2.
3 right now.
Yeah,
So he's the first one out right now.
he's the first one. Look at you clicking on Jason Christie, boy.
It was an accident. I got fat thumbs, dog. Yeah, that's. I mean, there's some other big names in here, but they're already on the Elite Series. Swindle and Polnick.
I'm just saying, whenever the Swindle and Polnick deal happened, I was an advocate for this. There are more to come and a lot bigger names that are going to follow suit. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
going to end up being, we're going to be playing this game. We're going to be playing the balance beam.
There's gonna be some guys looking for homes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
and what it's going to be, it's not just going to be 1 or 2 guys here, there, everywhere. It's going to be where the field splits itself back in half to where we as anglers and fans argue week to week, which is the better series.
How it was back in the day when FLW kind of
Correct.
started, because
Correct.
like in the '90s and stuff like that, like when FLW really got going, man, it was right there with the Elite Series, and then the Elite Series kind of pulled away from it for a while, and you had all the best guys from FLW were kind of one at a time leak over into the Elite Series, for a while, and then MLF came in there and just scooped up everybody. And yeah, now it's going to go back to where you're going to start having more guys on the Elite Series, and there's going to be a lot of good rivalry and discussion for years over which tour has the better fishing talent. And then you have the contrast of counting every fish or best 5.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I disagree with either format, but the way I see it playing out is the ball is absolutely in Bassmaster's court. Ever since this whole deal started, because everything that MLF was trying to do for the anglers, if Bassmaster does its due diligence and fixes all their internal problems, they've still got the #1 tournament of all time
With the Classic.
with the Classic. They've
Yeah,
still
that
got
helps. That's a big win for them. And I'll tell you what else. They've got the better TV show,
Correct.
which matters so much.
ESPN.
When it comes to exposure,
ESPN, bro.
which is how this deal is going to, at the end of the day, the way this thing's going to get determined is exposure. The more fans that watch, you're going to win that battle. The ideal in this thing is to make money.
That's right.
And the way they make money is by getting more eyeballs on it.
That's right.
And Bassmaster, hands down, has the better TV show right
Yep.
now.
Mhm.
They've got better commentators. They've got better cameramen. They've got better production value. Like, the Bassmaster makes a better TV product. But the MLF, in my opinion, has a far superior TV format. They just don't do a good job, as good of a job at production. Bassmaster does a better job producing. MLF has more potential to be a more entertaining TV show if they would get the same production value.
The ball is in Bassmaster's court because
I don't agree with that.
when the split happened too, there was a lot of young anglers that were kind of coming into their own that are shining now in the Elite Series that you go, okay, that dude could absolutely
Well,
compete with some of these other guys.
You say that, but how do we know until they do?
Well, and that's
Until
what I'm
they
saying.
face a field full of guys like that, not just 10 of them that we know.
With a big contract year like it is now,
We'll see.
with MLF, we're going to just wait and see.
We will. I don't think the ball is in Bassmaster's court yet. I do think Bassmaster. I think last year MLF was like,
Oh yeah, I think it was
because
stagnant
they
for
had
sure.
so much more notable, recognizable fishing brand name talent, that MLF was way ahead of them.
Yeah.
But this year, with the way the two companies reacted to the challenges of 2020, with COVID and everything else, Bassmaster looks a lot better right
Oh,
now.
they closed the gap for sure. If
Because
not-
we've still got a full Bassmaster schedule that we're still talking about right now. MLF has been forgotten about because they didn't even fish all their tournaments. I mean, I'm not blaming them. I don't know what their internal business workings are. I completely understand that it had to be a challenging, complicated year to operate a relatively new business. Like, I get all of that. But Bassmaster still put out a product when you didn't.
Right.
So in some ways, yes, the ball's in Bassmaster's court, but in my opinion, MLF still has that kicker of a format that appeals to more masses.
Yeah.
A format that's more of a regular sport, TV watchable format that will appeal to somebody that doesn't know fishing.
That's true.
Somebody that has no clue about fishing, when you got a live leaderboard and you can see it and there's a clock counting down, like everybody that's ever watched a sport of any kind can relate to that
That's true.
and can potentially be entertained by that.
That's true.
Versus people that watch Bassmaster, you got to kind of understand bass fishing because it's just a bunch of dudes out there catching fish and hollering at each other or hollering about the fish they catch, and then they come to the scale at the end of the day and weigh them. There's no scoreboard situation.
Right.
I mean, they do a good job in their TV production of keeping you up to speed on it, but there's not the periods, there's not the eliminations, there's not the buzzer beater countdown fish. None of that really. I mean, sometimes we'll get he caught it on the last. Mike Iaconelli in his classic win back in the day, last cast, caught the fish, and he says never give up, all-time moment. But that's very rare in the traditional format. It happens all the time in MLF where a dude, just to make the cut, catches one. Iaconelli caught on fork. Iaconelli this year,
Who do you edge out?
Kevin Van Dam, he caught a 7-pounder to put Iaconelli in and Kevin Van Dam out of the tournament at the buzzer of day 2 or whatever it was.
You're not part of this community.
Yeah, well, he said Kevin wasn't a part of his community when he got into that cut.
That's right.
You ain't in the cut community, Kevin.
That's right. That's awesome. I don't know.
It was good drama.
I love being able to talk about this because there's so many moving parts to this day, and especially with it being a contract year for a lot of those guys. I think 2021 and 2022 are going to be big years for it.
How many people do you know in your life that have told you, man, I just don't like drama?
None.
No, but people, I'm not saying how many people actually don't like drama.
Oh.
How many people will tell you, hey, man, I don't like drama. I don't want drama. I don't like no drama.
A lot of people.
They say that.
They say that.
And they're liars.
But their eyeballs.
They're liars. Because everything that
I'm
sells
joking.
the most is drama. Everything that we watch in sports, we want the story with it. We want the drama. We want the build-up, right? Well, man, we've never had more drama in the world of professional tournament bass fishing than we have now. And I do think that overall, in the end, this is all good for the sport. In fact, there's so much of it between MLF and bass, and now we've got MPFL,
MPFL.
National Professional Fishing League, and I'm sitting here going, how on earth am I going to have any time to pay attention to the MPFL when I don't even know, I can't hardly keep up between the Opens and Bassmaster Elite Series and MLF changing their stuff all the time. Like, how are you supposed to keep up with all of it?
Too many trails.
Is there too many bass fishing tournament trails? I don't know. I think right now we've maxed it out.
Yeah.
Next year we might go overboard because I'm going to want to watch this MPFL, but I don't think I'm going to. Tell us about the MPFL. I know you looked some stuff up.
So, as promised, I told you I'd dive into the NPFL and kind of see their internal workings, and it is very similar to another trail that some of y'all may remember, and
PAA.
the PAA.
Some of the stuff is very familiar to the PAA.
So what it's going to be, it's going to be a 125 angler field with a 2-year contract, which includes an option for a 3rd
Time
year.
out. There is a viewer question that has to be addressed.
What has it got?
Dale Morris, is Jacob Wheeler as good as advertised?
Absolutely, 100%, hands down, not even close.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not being rude, but that's not even a question. Like, that dude is, in the last,
In my opinion, 100%. He has won every significant trophy at every level he's fished, short of
A
a
classic.
Bassmasters Classic.
yeah, I think he is absolutely as advertised.
He's won the Forest. He was the youngest guy to ever win a Forest Wood Cup.
That's right.
He won the Junior All-American.
Mm-hmm.
He won the first Elite Series event he ever fished. When he wasn't even on the Elite Series Tour, he qualified for their Bass Fest tournament where you could qualify. He qualified for that, went and fished against that Elite Series field for the first time ever, won the tournament
That's right.
on Chickamauga, actually. He stepped over to the new MLF format and is, Jordan Lee's right there with him. But other than that, other than Jordan Lee, man, he's the king of that so far. I know Edwin Evers won the first Angler of the Year, but man, this year, Jacob Wheeler is he wins tournaments at a higher rate than anybody. He's still really, really young. He's still really, there's a lot of guys.
He's not my age.
There's a lot of guys. No, not even close.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that haven't even qualified. Lee Lifesey, who we've spent a lot of time talking about, that great fisherman. He has just started his Elite Series career last year. His major tour professional tournament fishing career just started last year. Lee is significantly older than Jacob, and Jacob already has all these skins on the wall. Folks, we have 25, 30 more years of Jacob Wheeler winning tournaments.
He's the modern day Rick Clunn.
I mean, as long as he stays hungry, as long as he stays as committed to it as he is now, and him being who he's been so far, he feels like a guy that he wants to be the very best ever.
Dude, his preparation.
And whether he wants to be the best ever or not, I think he's just one of those guys that is like, he's a type A personality. He is obsessed with being the best version of himself that he can be at whatever he does. It doesn't mean it, like if he signs up for a local tournament at Chick on the weekends where he lives, he's going to want to win that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Real bad.
He didn't care who he's fishing against.
And so that type of guy is going to stay pretty obsessed with the work ethic and all that. I mean, we are looking at 30 more years of Jacob Wheeler winning bass fishing tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
And where is it going to end up by the time he's done?
All I'm saying is, if it's not even an argument, Kevin Van Dam is the best of all time. But
Now,
in 30 years, let's talk about it.
yeah, I mean, Jacob Wheeler is the only guy that I point to out there and I give a very realistic chance of going down as the greatest angler ever.
Correct.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
No offense to Jordan Lee. What Jordan Lee has done in an early age has been very, very impressive. But Jacob Wheeler has been on the scene since he was a teenager winning major events.
Yeah.
And he, like I said, the youngest guy to win a Forest Wood Cup. Like, he's done all these things already. And he wins in so many different ways. He's so versatile. Yeah, he has a very realistic chance of going down as the greatest bass fisherman ever. He's the only one that's a young guy that I would say that about right now. Speaking of KVD, Jacob Wheeler, one thing that I will give Jacob Wheeler, I believe Jacob Wheeler is more versatile than KVD ever was.
I think he is too.
I think he is.
I think he is too. So back to the PFL, or NPFL. 125 angler field. They fish all 3 days. Every angler fishes all 3 days. There's not a cut line system. They all fish every day of the tournament. Okay? So I guess realistically you could have a not so great day and
That's weird.
Still end up in pretty good shape. 2-year contract includes an option for the 3rd year. You have to give written notice about whether you are or aren't fishing the 3rd year, obviously, so they can fill out the rest of the roster and stuff like that. No requalification for the first 3 years, so once you're in, you're in. $5,000 deposit due up front, $5,000 per tournament there on out.
Yeah, their tournament entry fees are $5,000 per event, 6 events, $30,000 total dollars.
$30,000
You got to pay $5,000. You got to pay the first entry up front.
That's right. No entry fee for the national championship or the
So
national.
if you're all in, you fish, you're $30,000 in.
Yeah.
That's less money in the pot than Bassmaster.
That's right.
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 Especially than Bassmaster was before a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be 80,000 or whatever, some crazy number. Now it's like
It was
40.
a lot.
Now it's 40,000 or whatever. They cut it in half. It used to be like a $10,000 entry. Now it's 5,000.
Mhm.
They give them a rebate. It's all complicated, but basically it works out where it's like $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 80,000 or 30,000 for this MPFL, and they're going to pay 1 in 3 places. Where are the big payouts coming from? Do they have that kind of sponsor support?
So they're going to live stream all 3 days on the water, live in studio commentator, and live weigh-ins.
Well, and that's going to be Luke Duncan and
Yep.
Fat Cat Newton.
Mhm.
Fat Cat Newton's going to MC. That's going to be like the Mark Zona and Dave. I'm drawing a blank on Dave's name, the guy from Canada. Mercer. Dave Mercer and Mark Zona of the MPFL will be Fat Cat Newton and Luke Duncan, who are both great guys and both funny.
Yep.
Both very funny guys.
Trailered weigh-ins, pull up right to the stage.
I think they hit a
Similar.
home run on those 2 guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I think those 2 guys will do a very
For
good
sure,
job.
yeah.
I don't know how known those guys are across the, everybody in the industry knows Fat Cat Newton and Luke Duncan.
Correct.
But some of the like
Younger viewers.
on the edge fans that are just not as in depth with the sport, they won't know who they are, but they will love them once they get
Oh.
exposed to them.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
funny.
for sure.
They hit a home run on
And
those.
so the roster, there's a lot of names in there that I ain't never heard of. But there's one that I have heard of. A man by the name of John Cox. Y'all might know who he is.
And the thing about MPFL is you're allowed to fish the other events. They don't mind you fishing other tours. That's good for them. Yeah, John Cox, that's a huge win for them. He's really, really good.
He's kind of good.
He's really
He's
good.
kind of like awesome.
He's one of them ones that's up there, probably top 5 in the world, in my opinion. Top
Absolutely.
10 for
Yeah.
sure. Probably top 5, easily top 10.
Slated top 10 for sure. Top 5, we can argue for sure.
I think he's in it.
I think he is too.
he's in it for me.
The only thing I do not have the schedule. That does not get released until October 31st.
Is there any other names on there that you recognize on the roster so far?
I mean, you can take a look at the roster. Not a whole lot that stick out to me other than John Cox and maybe a few others that I may be missing. And you can zoom in on that as well.
I like this guy's name, Captain James Wilt. Don't forget that he's a captain, folks.
Yep.
I mean, I'm scanning through this real fast because we're
Yeah.
doing a live deal, but
It's not. There's not a whole lot of names.
no, I'm not really recognizing. Oh, River Lee. River Lee is a guy from around here that was one of the best high school anglers that Texas had, and he'll be good. He'll be good.
Oh, I've talked to him.
He's a really good fisherman. He's young.
Yeah.
He's really good. Skeeter Fowler.
Yeah, I saw Skeeter.
Skeeter Fowler used to be Lake Fork guide. So,
Mhm.
yeah, $5,000 entry. You're going to have to be pretty serious. Like, all these guys that are going to fish for $5,000 per tournament, they're all going to have a lot of time on the water.
Yeah, this isn't a.
But
yeah.
not other than John Cox, none of them have won major professional level tournaments. None.
It'll be interesting to see, and one of the arguments that I've kind
None
of.
that I saw anyway.
No, yeah. One of the arguments that I've kind of started replying is I'm gonna follow the weights. I'm gonna take what I know and apply it.
Yeah.
Because I used to compare what place I finished versus the field or whatever, but now I've kind of adopted the how much weight did I catch, and what does it
Well,
typically take?
That's hard unless you're at the event and you're on the lake because, I mean, if you follow the weights, well, man, those Elite Series guys suck. They only caught 15 pounds a day on Chickamauga.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is the way I look at it is, so I compare myself to media and champs.
Yeah.
Like that's what I compare myself to
Right.
because that's
The level you
in
aspire.
the grand scheme
That's
of
the level you aspire to succeed
right,
at.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, let's say that champs was at Tawakoni, we'll say, and in a 2-day tournament it took 44 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, well 22 a day. Like that's the way I measure myself. So if I go to Tawakoni and I catch 16 pounds, I didn't do very good.
Yeah, but a normal Elite Series event in June on Chickamauga would have taken 25 pounds a day to win.
Correct.
This one's taking 15 with the same guys.
And I do my research too versus
Yeah.
time of year.
Yeah, you got to put some other aspects into that,
Right.
factoring in weight deal.
But that's just how I look at it now. It kind of helps me as an angler a little bit, and
You're
I'm
just trying to find a way to feel better when you lose. I feel like that's what you're doing.
Or just justify why I suck. So.
We both spent a lot of time trying to justify
Yeah.
why we suck. Will Sharp, could I do a tournament with you? Man, I don't ever fish tournaments anymore. During the week I guide. On the weekends I'm with my kids. Especially right now, it's soccer season. I'm coaching soccer.
It's soccer season,
It's
man.
soccer season. Oh man. Michael Sims asked, how many pounds did you and him have in the Skeeter tournament on Fork? I know it was bad. It was so bad. It wasn't good.
80? 80 in 2 days?
No. They had 0 in June on Fork.
If we could have weighed a gar.
He said one gar. Y'all caught a gar?
If Sims could have weighed that gar, he'd have cut a check.
All right, Lee, you want to tell a story to wrap it up tonight?
About the gar?
No. About the night before the owners tournament.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not ever one to let my friends make excuses for themselves, but I've got to give Chris and Sims, poor Simsy, Michael Sims,
Said LOL.
I've got to give both of them a little bit of leeway on their Skeeter owners tournament from a couple years back because, yes, they went out and zeroed. But me and Zach Watts fished the day before the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't fishing the next day because the Skeeter owners tournament was going on, and I'm not allowed to fish those. So me and Zach, after that, we got to cutting up and having a good time. We may or may not have showed up at the cabin they were staying in about, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night and kept them up till 2 or 3, maybe even later in the morning. I don't know. I know you guys, when we left, you guys had to like get out of there to go launch your boat in like an hour.
Yeah. I think I blinked and then had to get up and get ready.
So they were fishing on no sleep at all. 100% due to me and Zach Watts, mostly me. Because Chris is real easy. If you challenge Chris on something, like if you dare him, like he's real easy to get on something like that.
I don't shy away from challenges.
And so I was like, oh man, you don't need to sleep. Man, if you go to sleep now, you're a little girl. And I may not have said girl, but
Right.
yeah. I just kept trash talking him into staying up later and later and later till it was like, dude, we got to go fishing in an hour. I'm like, okay, we'll see y'all. Me and Zach going to go sleep till noon. Y'all have fun.
And of course we're up all night drinking vitamin water.
Vitamin water. Yeah, it was vitamin water.
Yeah.
It was brown colored vitamin water.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, the joys of tournament fishing around your buddies.
That was a rough event there. And he ain't lying. We did watch a couple of guys.
Yeah, Sim
fish after fish on
Sim
it.
says they sat there and watched guy catch fish after fish on their spot. Oh, that's great.
You'll get that sometimes.
Bass Elite Series versus MLF is like AFC versus NFC. I see a Bass Super Bowl tournament coming. What about a Ryder's Cup in bass fishing? That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
To have an MLF versus BASS throwdown. Now, I think there's going to have to be a little bit of hurt feelings get healed for a few years before we'll see that.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a lot of hardship between the two organizations. There is zero chance that the BASS and MLF organization can come together on anything right now.
Oh, there's way too much ego.
It'd be like asking Biden and Trump to agree on policy. It ain't gonna happen right now.
Or even agree to have a debate in the same place. Yeah, it's not happening.
We both know which side backed out on that deal.
Yeah.
That sucker got away with it in the first one because Trump was up there just yelling the whole time, acting like an idiot.
Uh-huh.
And then he was like, "There's no way I'm giving him a second chance."
You know what? I'm starting a new professional fishing organization, and you know who's gonna be my man on the mic, my MC?
Who that is?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. I don't think you can afford him, bro. No
It's
offense.
the hugest bass ever. Now he'd donate it back to the tournament trail to be the most efficiently paid for.
Look at this bass. It's huge.
It's huge.
That would be interesting.
I've
for
known
sure.
Chris for years. He's a wonderful angler, just
Yeah.
one of the greatest anglers of all time. He's really great, and I can't say enough good things about him. That's my best Trump that I can do. Sorry.
It's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
not the worst Trump I've ever heard. It's better than my Trump would be. I know that. Man, it's been a fun night. We've done nothing but talk about tournament fishing, but golly, is there a lot of tournament fishing to talk about. Hey, big shout out to all the locals from Lake Fork that we mentioned earlier, the guys that we know personally, Curtis and Vic and BJ Shelton. And, well, I don't know BJ Shelton, but I know him through social media. Gunny Boone. Man,
We forgot to talk about one other.
who's that?
Dude, did you know Paul Walls
Oh my
fished
God!
the Berkeley tournament?
So there, at the Berkeley event, there was a guy that caught the exact weight fish, which is 2.50. You catch that, you get a bonus. He caught a 2.50 pound under. This dude's name was Paul Walls.
Z.
W-A-L-L-S.
Plural, Paul Walls.
For those of you that are my age and grew up with a little bit of hip hop influence, you'll remember a fellow named Paul Wall.
Yeah, the Iceman.
Those of you that, I'm only saying that for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. There was a white rapper from Houston named Paul Wall that I was a huge fan of growing up.
I'm still a fan of
I'm
him.
still a fan of. I
Yeah.
like me some Paul Wall, baby. I
Yeah.
do. I mean, we like to sit sideways with the boys in the day.
Banging my screw on the way to the
Dude,
lake.
I read that name on that leaderboard and I about
Yeah.
fell out of my seat. Dude's name was Paul Walls.
Yeah. He's got to be better than Paul Wall because there's two of them. He's plural.
He's like twice as good.
Twice as good.
There's twice as many of them.
His grill,
Maybe even more.
He was fishing. His grill was lit up something like a disco ball.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
His chain's lighting up like a lamp because he's back with a can. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
Yes, sir. That has been a
What it do, baby?
it's been a fun night, man. I've enjoyed talking about terms with you. Hey, good luck to Lee. Congrats to all of our local guys, Gunny Boone, Vic, all those guys, man. It was awesome to see you guys doing some good in that event.
I will be glued to Bass Tracker all day tomorrow.
We're gonna be I wouldn't say that out loud. Your job might get mad at you for that, but
I'm not working next week.
oh, that's right, you're not working tomorrow. Yeah, he's gonna be on Bass Track tomorrow. Well, text me when something big happens so I can go
I
watch
will.
it. Cause I'm gonna be fishing with customers tomorrow.
This dude's gonna turn his phone off. I'm gonna be blowing him up. Lee caught a 4-pounder.
Well, yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
And another one.
Yeah. I hope that's how it goes. I really do.
Man, I'd like for him to catch 20, take it to the scales, take it home, let's go. Bring him back to Lake Fork.
That would be awesome to see it qualify for that Classic on Roberts. It'd be a huge deal for him to win that trophy, but it'd be almost as big a deal to qualify for that Classic on Ray Roberts. That would be awesome, man. So best of luck to Lee tomorrow. We'll all be pulling for you. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight on the Fish Life podcast. Are there too many professional tournaments? I don't know. Y'all can let us know in the comments, especially if you're watching afterwards. Hey, we'll see y'all next time. Chris, do that thing you do.
Peace out, peace on you.